The following is a presentation of the Tragically Hip podcast series.
Okay, we are officially into uncharted waters. We never do third ones. So let's see what happens.
Yer Hipstories, reflections from the final tour.
Hey, it's JD here, and welcome to Yer Hipstories, reflections from the final tour. It is August 10th, 2026, which means we are stepping back 10 years into the past to August 10th, 2016, when the Tragically Hip visited Toronto for the first of three shows. We have got three great panelists today who were there in the flesh. So let's go around the table and meet them. First of all, we have got Ernie from Denville, New Jersey. Ernie, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing great, JD. How are you?
I'm excellent. I am absolutely excellent. It's a warm day and just enjoying it. My friend Scott from Huntsville. Speaking of beautiful days, I'm sure there's a lot spent there.
Lots
how
of
are
beautiful
you
days
doing on
up
this
here.
fantastic day?
Very good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, it's going to be great. And my friend Jeff from Vaughan. How are you doing tonight, sir? You're not at a show. I'm shocked.
Got the night off, getting ready for tomorrow. Well, at least we'll be talking about a show. Everything's good.
Yeah,
here.
there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, let's start at the start, and we'll start with you, Jeff from Vaughan. Tell me about a song. Now, this is going to be tough because you're at a couple Toronto shows, but I want you to try and compartmentalize as best you can Toronto number one, and tell me about a song that when you hear it now, it takes you back to that night. Or
50
other.
Mission Cap.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tell me why.
Well, the main reason is I had my entire family at this show and my two kids. Out of all the hip songs, my daughter knows quite a few, but my son maybe a few less at the time. But when that one came on, it came on strong, as it always does in Toronto, with Bill Barocco's flag hanging from the ceiling there, and the guys and the energy is just amazing, right? So I did take out my camera and purposely film, a verse or so, and then I kind of swung around and got both the kids kind of singing. Yeah, I mean, I remember doing that, and then when I knew I was coming on today, I went and checked it out, the video out, just to kind of relive it. And yeah, that's exactly what I think of when I think of that show.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
A nice family moment. Yeah. Ernie, how about you?
What I remember is right off the bat, those lights coming up and hearing the Luxury, which I've seen them a lot of times. 10 times prior to that, but I hadn't heard the Luxury, and I said, this is going to be a special night when I heard that song come in. Just standing there in a little circle, and that bass line, that was it.
You're hooked. Yeah, magic. Scott?
So mine would be Fiddler's Green. So let's think about the context of that summer. We get the news in May. You're racing to get tickets. You don't know how it's going to go. You don't know how Gord is going to be. So there's that nervous energy. You guys know that nervous energy in the room that night. And third song in, they do Fiddler's Green. And as far as you could see, were grown men crying. And it's okay, this is how the night's going to be. And I'll always remember that. Like, really? They went with Fiddler's Green 3 songs in? Powerful.
Yeah, balls, huh?
Yeah.
They can just do what they want.
Yeah.
Rewriting how you should sequence the show.
But I'll go
Scott,
with Ernie. The Luxury off the top was very cool. It's like, oh, okay, this is different. This is very cool.
Scott, we'll stick with you for the first
Sure.
question. And that's when did you hear the news of the tour and Gord's illness? And how and where did you procure tickets?
So yeah, I think like everybody else got that email on the Tuesday morning after the May long weekend, and that's true hip fashion to not ruin that long weekend, right? So you start to get the information about the upcoming tour and worrying about Gord and things like that. So the first thing my buddy and I did, and we always with our wives traveled to hip shows whenever we could. First thing we did was we secured hotel rooms in Kingston. That's the first thing. Before tickets are on sale, we've got to make sure that we've got Kingston. So then tickets go on sale, and we all know the scramble that was. And one of the things I want to talk, I don't want to go too far down the road here, but one of the things I want to talk about was the night before tickets went on sale, John Mann from Spirit of the West, fighting Alzheimer's, another Canadian legend. He's fighting Alzheimer's, and he's doing a show at the Horseshoe Tavern as a fundraiser. So you're looking at two separate tragedies in the Canadian music world are happening, right? So I remember walking back from the Horseshoe Tavern after seeing John Mann and Spirit of the West and friends do this powerful performance, knowing we had to get up early with all our phones and start to get tickets. So to answer your question, JD, so that was weighing very heavy. Like, what is happening to my heroes? So up early the next morning, we're trying all the different, we're online, we're on our phones. I was fortunate enough to get 4 seats for Toronto number 1. Now, initially, I was shut right out, and I think it was probably a couple of hours after they went on sale, I was actually able to secure 4. And my buddy who was also trying, he was able to get 4 for Toronto number 3. So we were pretty lucky there. It was through Ticketmaster, and I think there was that initial surge, but then we were able to secure tickets.
Oh, nice. But you had to wait. You might have been. What was the stress like when you didn't get them right out of the shoot?
Oh, there was some stress.
What made you so optimistic to go back?
Well, and I mean, we had the
Yeah,
I mean, we had the hotels locked down in Kingston. So if we couldn't get Toronto, if we couldn't get anywhere else, we were at least going to be in the city. So we had that kind of in our back pocket, not knowing what that was going to look like. I don't even think they were talking about, folks in Springer Square or anything at that point. But we knew we were going to be a part of it somehow, and then just trying really hard for tickets.
Amazing. Jeff, how about you, Ticket Man?
Yeah, the ticket gods have been pretty amazing to me over the last few decades. And with all the years I had behind me following this band around, when they announced it, I knew I was going to go to more than one. I knew I was going to go to many, but my focus was Kingston. And that was like, I wasn't nervous about finding a way to get in locally. It was the small venue in Kingston that I was concerned about. And that was my main focus when they announced the tickets on sale. But this is how do we procure tickets to Toronto number 1. And it just so happened that my son played hockey with another boy whose father had a set of seats at the ACC for every event. So concerts, hockey, you name it. And he had given me these seats once or twice before, like when heavy metal or heavier bands played. I guess he never gave them to clients or whatever. So the minute when they announced this show, I put my best story together into a text and sent this guy 4 paragraphs about my life following the hip, and that if he wasn't going to go, that it would be an amazing experience if I could bring my wife and my 2 kids, and the 4 of us could, experience it together. And he just answered, "They're yours." So I was I'm like,
Nice,
man, like, first of all, at $250 or $300 a ticket, not many people would be able to, scratch together $1,300 or $1,400 to bring the family. So,
right.
I mean, he made that night for us, and yeah, it was amazing to get that news.
Oh boy, some
Yeah.
of these stories I'm hearing, nutty. Ernie, was yours nutty? And tell me about what you were thinking when you heard the news.
Yeah, I don't think it was nutty, but it was just insane. I think we knew that Man Machine Poem was coming. We knew there was an album coming, and all I'm thinking is I'm down in New Jersey. I've seen them in this area, and I'm expecting them to tour again. And the last tour, I had seen them consecutive nights in Philly and Cliffside Park and Syracuse. And I'm thinking this is going to be another, I'm going to get multiple shows. But then, boom, we hear about the diagnosis. We hear about it's just a Canada thing. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm flying somewhere. I don't know where. And I think I knew I had a extended family vacation coming, and I had to work around that. And Toronto, number one, just made the most sense to me. And so there I was, I think literally sitting right here the moment the tickets went on sale, just making sure I got in the house and getting the plane ticket and all that. So it was kind of crazy. I think I even tried and got a single ticket for Kingston, but I regret not pulling the trigger on the Kingston one. I was going to be way up high, and I said, oh, am I going to be able to get up there again, in a couple of weeks? Probably not. But no, I mean, I think we were all devastated by the news and just the whole idea that it was just going to be this short span, and that was it. Had to be there, even though I'd never seen them in Canada before.
Oh man, yeah. It's one of those. The news drops, and the first thing you think is like, I'm there. Like it's a done deal. I'm there. And yet the reality is there's only, I don't know how many people saw them in total, but they were all sellouts at all those arenas. You could easily do the math, but I didn't. And the number of people they saw was not as many as who wanted to see it. So I'm really glad that you three got to see it. Ernie, take me through the day of August 10th, leading up to the countdown clock hitting 1.
Sure. I remember it vividly. Waking up in my hotel room, never got out of bed, turned the TV on, the news, and there was the mayor declaring the hip day in Toronto. Hadn't even gotten up yet, and I was like, holy crap, this is going to be great. It was Tragically Hip Day in Toronto. I remember hadn't been to Toronto before, and I think the night prior I had gone to a Blue Jays game, but I did hit Toronto Island, but made sure I got to the venue, the Air Canada Center, pretty early. And what a scene all around it. The community, the people just hovering around, the sense of anticipation. I remember the bars. I remember the merch tables. I had never seen so much merch being bought. And I remember being interviewed by someone and telling them that I was from the States. And I remember them saying, what's the one song you want to hear them play? And I remember saying Emperor Penguin.
Oh.
It wasn't played, but again, that was the day, right? It was just that anticipation of and seeing all those people around that arena before we went in.
Oh yeah, it was very celebratory, right? Like it wasn't awake in in any stretch. It was very celebratory. Was that your experience too, Scott? And what else did you get up to that day?
I mean, it was travel to Toronto, which is only a couple of hours, but it was that nervous energy, really the week leading up to it, right? It was that nervous energy, and how's it going to go, right? Like I said earlier when we talked about Fiddler's Green. I remember the long lines for merch. And I remember the one thing they were doing that was really cool is you could just buy the T-shirt. Made many, but you could get the actual date put on the back. So I've got one that says August 10th in Toronto, and but yeah, just being around the venue, just being around hip fans, and excitement. And there was a quote I had after leading into the Kingston show, and I'll give it now. Is my wife took a picture of me looking out the window out of the hotel room, and I'd said to her, I've never been so excited for something I didn't want to happen. And that's just kind of how that whole week and a bit was, right? But just kind of being around and talking hip, we're a family, we're a community, and, swapping hip stories, and, there's people that have seen them 20, 30, 40, 50 times. So yeah, just the sharing, and there's a couple of beers involved there as well over the course of the day. But yeah, just kind of that community is probably the biggest thing that I'll remember from that day leading up to the show.
What did you think of the atmosphere inside the arena, and the fact that they had Robbie coming on the speaker at one point, giving you the countdown? What did you think of all that?
I remember it being really busy in the corridor, like really busy, like trying to get a beer and trying to get your seats, and there was merch and everything else. And I remember it being very busy, but absolutely Canadian. Like nobody was bumping into each other and things like that. Everybody was there for a reason, and that was the focus, right? Kind of a nervous energy, but I remember that, like everybody was there for a reason.
How about you, Jeff from Vaughan?
Yeah, so the day of the show, even previous, once I knew I was bringing my family, I had a custom shirt made, which I'm wearing in the background there, and I had to get one made for my son because they didn't really have any his size, and that's just the regular one there. And then my daughter, I think she fit into one of my wife's, and then my wife had one, so we had to all make sure we had our 4 t-shirts on. Mine, for those that can recognize it, is one I came up with. It's a print of the Live Between Us mural from Kingston on the front. And on the back was just big block font saying, "There's this fucking band you have to see. You've got to see."
Oh,
brilliant.
That's great.
And I wore that shirt to all of the shows that I went to in Ontario. London was the only one that wanted me to put a piece of tape over the swear word on the back of the shirt. They didn't want me to come through the gates with that for some reason.
Wow.
But so we had our shirts, and I wanted the family, the kids, to go through the whole pre-show thing. And I don't know if any of you guys remember, but there was the whole Courage for Gord thing happening, raising money, and people were donating hip memorabilia, hip items. And Rob F., who put on a bunch of the events, and there was a bunch of people involved. We did go to the pub across the street, kitty corner to the ACC. We had dinner as a family in there. They had a bunch of the memorabilia around where you could bid on stuff. And funny enough, Jeremy from the Strictly Hip and one of his guitarists was actually playing in that bar pre-show. Like they were playing a few tunes. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, we had a bite to eat. Got to see that, got that whole scene underway, and then we left. And I can still to this day remember crossing the street, getting onto the corner, coming around the bottom of the ACC. And then if you remember, there was actually a big merch, almost like a bus, not a bus, but a big thing open, and you could see all the different stuff that they were going to be selling. And then we came around the front a little more, and they had like another big backdrop of the band where you could stand up against, get your picture taken. So we had all of us up against that, took a picture. My daughter and I were interviewed by radio or TV or something. They kind of asked us to sing, which caught us a little off guard. But they did interview my daughter because she was a little younger, and asked her, what she thought of the hip and Gord and that. So that was pretty cool. And then I remember turning around as we're about to walk into the arena. I don't know if you guys remember as well, the size of the mural, the picture of the band above the doors, or on the door, I think it was, but they had redone the whole entrance for the 3 nights, or maybe they left it up for a month. But yeah, it was pretty. I remember the walk. I remember all of that. And then when we got inside, we got in good and early. I said, let's go see our seats first. So this is us sitting in the 4 seats. And this is the guy here who I ended up in Kingston with, and probably another 40 or 50 hip shows over the years, Matt. And then this is Mark Sloggett, who probably has the hip record for most shows, videotaped, I think 350 shows. He's in the Bob Cajun DVD. So David Bastido was nice enough. He kind of said, "Hey, get together, you guys," and he took that picture and sent it to me after the show.
Oh my gosh,
It's
isn't that great?
So yeah, what a moment. I mean, he the photographer, the whole group, the band, just that family atmosphere that those guys always kind of gave off. They recognized new fans, and they recognized a lot of the regulars, and treated everybody really cool. So it was shaping up to be quite the night.
Oh God, what a night.
Yeah.
And then the music starts. Let's take a look at and analyze a little bit the set list. So here it is. Start with you, Scott, on this one. Anything you want to? First thoughts, I suppose. First thoughts on the set list.
Yeah, and I promised myself I wasn't going to do it as the tour started and watch set lists, but I couldn't help myself. So you start to see what they're doing, right? So then you start to wonder, what albums are we going to get tonight? So obviously starting off with Luxury and Little Bones and Fiddler's Green, awesome, classics. Great to hear the new songs. I think that was a takeaway, just how great Possessed is. Like just fantastic live, right?
Yes.
Because that was always the thing. As you recall, you get that new hip album, but it's not until you hear it live that you truly feel that song. So being able to get those songs, at that time was amazing. I thought going into Music at Work and Toronto number 4 was fantastic. And I don't know, guys, if you recall this, having seen a few of the shows, but I think it was during Bob Cage, and I think Gord missed the Toronto line in a few of the certainly the 2 Toronto shows I was at. I thought he missed that Toronto line, and just the way the crowd carried him, that was a big takeaway for me. It just that was a highlight for me, that we're all here for you, right? So
Man.
But no, I thought it was a great set list. Obviously Head by Century, the opening piece, a little bit different the way Robbie Baker played that, and then that was just a really nice surprise as well. So those kind of standouts for me.
How about you, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting, just the way that they set up to do these sections of the concert, the tightness of the band, kind of almost warming Gord up in that first set.
Right.
Always loved to hear the new stuff as well, especially Machine was always interesting to hear, I found, in those shows I went to. And Toronto number 4 is a favorite of mine, so I got to hear that a couple of times during the last run there. I always joke that Toronto number 4 is actually Gord's show that he did after the tour was over, and he did his solo Cheney Wenjack show, which I was at as well. So I used to joke and say, "Hey, we got to try and go to Toronto number 4." And then, for me, I think the 50 Mission Cap I already talked about. It was just memorable with the kids and the family, and hearing that inside of a Toronto Hockey Arena, of course. And then really cool which they did later in their career, is kind of saving grace until near the end, or opening up an encore with it to kind of come back, versus starting off so many shows over so many tours. So that was really cool. And I didn't remember until I looked at this. Yeah, I didn't even remember. So I guess there was a double encore then, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think was pretty standard up until the final night.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the opening of the show, is Gord coming out for the third encore.
Still kind of mind blowing how many songs that they were able to kind of put together, and I still can't fathom. I get Gord. I saw the monitors. I know how much Gord was reading, but the fact that he could remember the melodies and even some of his little ad libs and jokes that he used to throw in throughout the years, that he wasn't tossing a lot of them in, but there was one here and there, and it always kind of blow my mind. Like, man,
dude, Toronto number 4 would be so hard. Would be so difficult to like. It's such a strange cadence.
He did that in Kingston, and he actually missed one little line, and you can go watch the video. He missed a little bit of a line in Toronto number 4, and you could see he gets, and it may, because his family was there, and the story behind the song being about his grandmother or whatever, but he missed just this one little part. I forget what it was, but you could see him. He was like he was kind of pissed off at himself almost. And it's like, by that point, I was like, buddy, like you got passes all day long here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
Scott said, the crowd lifting, lifting like it's virtual body surfing sort of. It's just having him surf
and I agree with
across.
Ernie. I mean, hearing that Luxury to kick things off was, I mean, the Luxury, and I've seen the band, quite a few times over the years, and that was not a common set list song at all. Probably count on one hand how many times I heard it.
Oh,
so yeah, interesting.
How about you, Ernie? Take us through your journey through the set list.
I will. I shall. And I have my notebook from the notes that I made right after the show. So I'm looking at that too. Yep, with the whole set list here. But look, albums 2 through 7 and 13 is what I see. And to me, my personal taste, 2 through 7 is just the sweet spot there. I look, a game I always played was, all I wanted to hear was a song that I hadn't heard before. Right. And I got the Luxury, and I had never heard So Hard Done By either. So that was another treat for me in all the shows I had seen. So, but looking at it and remembering there were 4 bangers at the ends of those acts, so to speak, right? We had Ahead by a Century, boom. We had 50 Mission Cap, right? Like we were saying with Bill Barilko, Spotlight.
Yeah.
And then we knew when we got Grace, we were getting 2 more songs from Day for Night, but we didn't know what they were. And there was just that hope that they hadn't played it yet, right? Nautical. And then there it was.
First time they played it on the tour.
First time they played
How
it.
crazy
it was. Boom. And so you had 3 bangers. And then, and I think I probably knew at that point they had to go to Phantom Power for the last 2 songs.
Yeah.
And I would have chosen those 2 over any of the other ones. Just again, ending it with Poets was like another 4th banger to end it with. So
wow,
I couldn't have asked for a better choice in albums for my show.
No, yeah. I would say you did very good. I like the way you put it. Albums 2 through 7. Didn't really consider that. That is the commercial sweet spot. You know, the popularity sweet spot. You know, a lot of people have revisited, some of the newer records through the podcast and through forums and things like that, and are starting to come on board. But it was the diehards that stuck with it. Guys, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this. Okay, and we're back. I want to talk about the end of the night. I want to talk about the fact, and again, this is going to be difficult because some of you saw multiple shows after this, but we're going to talk about August 20th in depth in just a few minutes. So as best you can to compartmentalize Toronto 1, this is a goodbye. Like 2/3 of the arena you were sharing that night with, it was going to be their last show. Maybe more than 2/3. I don't know how many people traveled around, but this was goodbye, and there's something sullen about that. And I just wonder what your feelings were when the lights came up. How long did you have to sit around for? What did that look like? And what did you do after? Ernie?
What I would say is, first of all, coming from the States, coming solo to the show, I didn't feel alone at all. I was up in, I think it was 313. Again, my only way of experiencing the hip was through little clubs. And I was always that guy up against the stage where all the clubs in the New York City, like I said, Syracuse, all around. And here I was in this, I had never seen them in a big venue before like this.
Oh,
and,
cool.
and if it was just like a totally different animal. I mean, I don't know, better or worse. Again, I kind of I always felt lucky being able to see them in little places. It was like my little treat, you know, it was mine. You know, I knew all the people up in Canada, they had to go to these big arena shows. But anyway, getting back to it, I just felt like I was never alone there. I mean, everyone around me was inclusive, and that was just great. And then at the end of it, yeah, what else can you say? But you felt spent. You felt like you had just gone through something. And I think everyone around, it was a collective sigh that we were all letting out. And I guess you never said never. You always thought that, and hoped that maybe there would be something else, that there would be some way the other four would go on. I don't know. but so you, that's what you hope. You hope sprung eternal, but it just, you walked out and you still felt a sense of community with everyone, I think. So it was just cathartic.
Cathartic is a word that has come up a lot in these conversations. Scott?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Ernie on those points, but I guess and Jeff would fall in this category too. It wasn't goodbye yet for us, right? I knew I had two more shows. So it went from probably that little bit of exhaustion because it had been building for weeks. What's the show going to be like I talked about, and enjoying. It was a great show, great set list. It's not goodbye yet. What are we going to get? Because we were going to Toronto number 3. What's that set list going to look like? How's that going to differ when we get to Kingston in another week? Those were the thoughts that we were having. It wasn't over for me yet.
Right. So when the actual show ended, though, like, did you sit around for a little bit and contemplate, you know, or was it just out and back into the celebration?
Yeah, no, it was, that one wasn't it was very different than the Toronto 3 or Kingston. No, it was just time to make my way back to Huntsville that night. That's what that was about. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't over for me because I knew I had 2 more shows, and now I kind of know a little bit what to expect, but then you just start thinking what the possible set lists that we could get for the next 2 shows we were going to. So I didn't have that big kind of reflection piece after Toronto number 1.
Right. So Jeff, you're going to be in the same boat or a similar boat. So I'll ask you more about the vibe of the building. And because, again, I'm going to say of the vast majority of people that were there, it was the last time. So was it still celebratory? What was it like?
There was a bit of both going on. I mean, there was people there to party. There was people there. You could tell they were almost not in shock, but just kind of in that deer headlight days, like, this is it, man. And then there was other people, you know, you saw a few tears. And, you know, I had just come off the London show, so I'd already seen them. And like Scott, I had a couple of more lined up. I ended up I skipped Ottawa, but I did all the other ones. I did the Toronto, the Hamilton, and Kingston. But the emotional part for me was sitting with the family, like being able to, like, I went to shows with guys I went to shows with for years, but to get there with my wife and to have my 2 younger kids who would be able to at one time say, like, I saw one of the final hip shows, and I think my son might have been maybe 13 or 14, my daughter maybe a year or 2 older, not even. So, I mean, that part of it I was so grateful for, like, just to almost like watching them watch it, and they knew I made a big deal out of this band, you know, for years. So that part of it was good. And we did talk about it on the way home as a family in the car. We were talking about a few things that happened during the show, and I don't know if they got it. I think my daughter did, you know, then how big it really was, but yeah, been lucky.
Yeah, I mean, it was their last, for them, it was their last show. And
that's it. Yeah. And my wife had seen the hip over the years with me a bunch too. This was, hey, I can get you into one show. And for her, that was fine. And, you know, interestingly enough, I do know people that ended up at some of these shows that were not really big hip fans at all, but there were I had sets of friends that, I don't want to say they didn't like them, but they were concert goers. And even they said, you know what, I'm going to they just jumped on the bandwagon and said, this is their last time they're ever going to play. I'm buying a ticket and going.
They saw the historical relevance.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that
it would be a shame to miss it.
Yeah.
I think it's so special you went with your family. That's really cool that you guys are going to talk about that, for years to come.
Yeah, no doubt.
Okay, fellas, as I promised, what the heck were you up to, Scott, on August 20th, 2016? Take us through that.
Yeah, a little road trip to Kingston the day before, right? Like I said off the top, the first thing we did when the tour was announced, we booked hotel rooms. Tried to get tickets, could not get tickets. Tough, 6,700 I think in the room, so very tough ticket to get. Lots of media coverage, lots of just hype about it. So we kind of let the possibility go that, well, we might just be in Springer Square that night. But it kind of dropped off the radar a little bit. But we knew as soon as they stepped on stage in Victoria, the hype was going to go back up. So about a week and a half before the tour started, we started looking again. And yeah, I went to a secondary seller and was able to secure tickets behind the stage. And yep, you can see us in the video, but we were able to get a pair of tickets, the most to date I'd ever paid for concert tickets. And I won't say how much I paid, but I was in the room and nothing was going to stop me. Right. The nervousness around it was, it's 2016, so it's a print off. It's not a QR code on my phone. So until the little green light goes off on the scanner, I didn't know if I was getting into the room that night.
That's stressful,
right? So there was nerves all day about that. It was incredibly hot in Kingston, Jeff, as you'll contest. It was very hot that day.
Yeah.
It was a cool vibe. We stayed clear of sitting on patios because we all wanted clear heads of what we're going to witness that night. Crazy vibe in Kingston, though. Just walking around again, seeing all the hip fans and telling the stories. But that was the big thing. It's like we weren't sure we were going to be in the room until you presented that print off ticket and the scanner worked. So it's like, what are we going to do if it doesn't? So that was the vibe leading up to, and then it goes back to the comment I made earlier. I was never so excited to see something, that I didn't want to happen, right? So that was kind of the vibe in Kingston. I spend a lot of time in Kingston for work, so I'll often walk around the corridor down there and just kind of reflect, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And it looks right now, it looks so great. I mean, we're 10 days out from the real August 20th and the celebration that's going to take place in Kingston. It looks really cool.
Yeah. No, it was like I say, that booking the hotel rooms first was the best decision we ever made. And then just kind of the strategy around, the hype's going to come back up. So we got to make sure we get in and get tickets while we can. So,
nice work.
Yeah.
Jeff, how about you? What did you get up to August 20th?
Yeah. So even just to rewind slightly back to the ticket conversation, is when I logged in to, again, I was focused on Kingston. So just think about all these years. This is going to be my 93rd hip show since 92. I'd gone to all these shows and I logged in to Kingston and the front row seats popped up immediately. Like for me on Ticketmaster the morning of, no aftermarket. And I'm like, I didn't really say you got to be kidding. It's almost as if it's like they're giving you a gift. It's like, here you go. And I just locked in, and right in front of Bobby, I grabbed 2 tickets, got them, messaged my buddy Matt and said, I got a pair. Here's how much they are. If you're in, great. If not, I'll call Todd, my other buddy Todd. He got a single up at the side of the stage. And then I focused in on the other shows kind of separately. But the vibe in Kingston was amazing. It was a hot, sunny day. Everybody was dressed up, lots of custom shirts, custom outfits. People were cruising around the Copper Penny and going to check out where the mural once was. And, I think Market Square. And I believe the Prime Minister was walking around at one point, and there was just a real buzz. They were selling merch outside before the show. And I ran into Richard Beeland in the liquor store actually beforehand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got to say hi to him.
He's
So
a
me and my buddy
photographer, for those who don't know. He's taken lots of pictures of the hip over the years.
Yeah, one of the Hips photographers way back when. So yeah, and ran into other guys that were like my buddy Jim and his friend were in the 4th row. So we kind of met up with them. And then another guy that I knew was 4 or 5 seats over, dead center, right in front of Gord, who I'd seen at numerous shows over the years. So it was running into a lot of people that I ran into through all these tours through 25 years. And yeah, I mean, what did it feel like in Toronto #1? You were looking for that final. That's when it started to set in. And
Absolutely.
yeah, when you get into that, it's the final show and just the whole Kingston thing, right? Like it was heavy is an understatement.
Yeah.
Ernie, what did you get up to that day?
Yeah, probably wishing I was there with you guys up there at Kingston.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, I was obviously glued to the television, just happy that we were able to get that feed down in the States. My son Josh would have been about 20. My daughter Rebecca would have been about 18. And it's great because I was able to take Josh to that Fully Completely tour a few years earlier. We saw him at the Beacon there. So it was great to share that final show with him. And since Gord's been the hip has been defunct, I mean, my daughter's become one of the biggest listeners on Apple Music to them, which is just, I can't believe how much she loves them. Too late, a little too late. But that night, again, just being able to experience it somehow was really all I could ask for, and just happy when it just kept going too, right, with the extra encore and all that.
Yeah.
It just felt like, you know, how long can they go? But let's keep one more song.
Yeah.
It was just wonderful.
It did feel like it was just being like, of course, you know they're going to stretch it out, but I couldn't believe it. It felt like almost 4 hours. Like it just kept going. You didn't want it to end. You're tired mentally. You're just beat up. So Ernie, how did you guys get the feed down in the US? I never did ask anybody that. Was it purposely broadcast, or did you have to use a satellite or something? Or?
I think that it was just through the internet. There must have been a connection I was able to use. I can't really remember, Jeff, but it was fine. Luckily, I mean, I think it was.
Oh,
it was available. So
wow, that's amazing.
Put it on the big screen, and it was great.
One of the things we've touched on a lot here in the last little while is family. And one of the things I'll remember from the show is my kids texting me, "Dad, are you okay?"
Yeah.
You know, pretty cool, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, just checking in with Dad.
Excellent parenting going on here.
Yeah.
You know, we've got Ernie's daughter becoming the biggest Apple Music hip fan. Gee whiz, this is nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to just, when you were decompressing after this show, what did you do? Who were you with? Jeff, we'll start with you. Like, did you have a couple beers after the show? Did you just go and
interesting?
Be
we
silent
walked
somewhere.
Yeah, we got out of the arena, and I remember going around the backside of the arena, and we ran into a couple of people there, and ended up hanging out with some fans that I kind of knew, not super well, and just ended up talking things out and just chatting going on. We weren't out by the bus, but it was just out in the back. And then, we're like, where's everybody going? And then somehow we ended up at some bar at a table with, 8 or 10 or 12 of us, even though it was just me and Matt. We didn't have a hotel room, didn't plan things out like Scott. We were going to go home at some point, but we weren't in a hurry. And just went out, and I don't remember the exact conversation, but I think a part of it was, we didn't want it to end.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you remember,
Good
Jeff?
night,
Jeff, do you remember in the building, like you've seen the hip 93 times? I think you said I'm probably pushing 20, but the last bunch of tours, Gord didn't talk a lot between songs. So in Kingston, when he spoke, you could hear a pin drop in the building. That's not normal at a rock concert, right? So I remember that. And then as we were leaving, just once we finally exited our seats, Just the silence. And I remember coming out, and the police are directing traffic across the street, and I don't know, I just shook a cop's hand on the way by. I said, oh, thanks for this. Right? I didn't know what to do. The text messages are coming in, like I said, my kids and things like that. But then you start to realize, and we all knew how big it was, but then you start reflecting, because I hadn't spent much time on social media that day. You see Eddie Vedder step to the mic at Wrigley Field and say, you need to know what's happening in Canada tonight. Like, it's like, we were just a part of something that was absolutely incredible. So, we didn't go out that night. We got back to the hotel, and we kind of thought we'd go out and have a couple of beers or something, but we're all just exhausted. And then get up to leave to go home Sunday morning, and it just poured rain perfectly. Just poured rain, right? As it should have. Yeah.
I guess this is like a different concert because, most concerts you're physically tired. This one you're physically tired and mentally exhausted.
100%.
Yeah.
I can't even fathom it.
We drove around earlier in the day. I remember going and picking up the Kingston Wig, I think it is, or whatever the paper is there. We grabbed a couple of papers. The Wig Standard, yeah. So we tried to grab a bit of memorabilia from around because they was sold out on a bunch of places.
It was branded the Hip Standard?
It was branded the Hip Standard. I've got it mounted on the wall in my basement. Hip Standard one day.
I took a lot of pictures at not only at the show, which I got some amazing pictures at the show, being in the front row there, and I took pictures of the people walking around. The guy that's I know that lives in Kingston that's around the marathon that wears the silver gourd suit and the hat. Yeah, I remember taking a picture of him and the other two brothers with long hair with the really crazy looking shirts, And I got a good stream, a good memory from that day. I think I got a Facebook post that I always try and repost every year or every other year of walking people through what it was like to get there that early in the day, and then right through, and then a bunch of pictures, and then, kind of heading out after. But yeah, what a road trip. And it's hard to be a part of something like that. And even talking about tonight is good, but I feel I do get upset when I watch some of the live music. As much as I enjoy it, all I do is go back to those shows, right? And you take for granted. You think, shit, Gord will do this till he's 78, right? Minimum.
Yeah, they were going to be the next Stones, for sure. Yeah. Doing anything special for August 20th this year, anybody? Watching party or anything like that?
Looking at a couple of options. Yeah, we'll do something. Probably with the folks we went to the shows with, we'll do something. Just trying to lock that in. Nice. But yeah, it's going to be, it's hard to believe it's 10 years. Like, how did that happen, right?
Holy shit. Yeah.
I'd love to get up there with you, JD. I'm still holding out hope.
Well, that would be really cool if it happened, Ernie. But if it doesn't happen, are you going to be wearing that Tragically Hip shirt and trying to watch the show again?
One of many. Yeah, I'll definitely be watching it. Yeah, definitely be watching it again on the 20th.
Nice. Well, fellas, that's what we've got for Toronto number 1. Tomorrow, we're going to take the day off. And then on August 12th, we'll be back for Toronto night 2. And we're going to talk the shit out of that show. So I can't wait to do that. Brand new panel, brand new songs. But before we bid anybody adieu, I just want to know if the group has any plugs. Jeff?
No plugs here.
All right.
Save Scott. The humans.
Save the humans.
Yeah. I'll give a little plug. Side hustle I have. So I chair a nonprofit organization called Huntsville Festival of the Arts. We're a year-round arts festival in Huntsville. Obviously, we're right in the heart of our summer season right now, bringing lots of Canadian acts to Huntsville and area, and just doing great things with the arts. So HuntsvilleFestivaloftheArts.com is always a place to see our lineup and see how you can get involved in the festival.
Excellent.
Very cool. Yeah. Live music. You got live music. Ernie.
If you're asking, JD, I made a little horror movie called We Can't Leave. If any hip fans are interested in horror, go to Apple Music. Apple Amazon Prime. Amazon Prime, they can buy We Can't Leave, and the sequel's already in the hopper. So that's coming. So might as well sell it.
Absolutely. So where do you find it? Amazon Prime?
Amazon Prime. We Can't Leave.
Nice.
Perfect. Well, folks, that's what I got for you. I want to thank Ernie and Scott and Jeff very much for stopping by tonight to reminisce. And that's it. That's what she said. That's all she wrote. Pick up your shit.
Thanks for listening. This has been a presentation of the Tragically Hip podcast series. For more information and to follow us, visit home.tthpods.com. If you'd like to reach JD, send an email to jd@tthpods.com.